Help me grow, fast or slow, as long as I know you're digging for gold. Help me learn, soft or stern, as long as I know you're digging for gold. Life's a movie, the ultimate trip. You should have been told you'd be digging for gold. Hello, my friends. Welcome once again to Digging for Gold. I'm Dan Goldberg, as you know. And please subscribe to YouTube, follow us on Instagram, on TikTok, on Spotify, and you go to our website, dangoldberg.com, and all the icons are on the bottom, so you just hit them and subscribe and follow. Today is a very special day in Digging for Gold for a number of reasons. One, this is our 40th episode. That's right. Yes, a 40th episode. It's amazing. And to help us celebrate, we've asked Al Paris, who was in episode 3, to come back. And it's interesting because those of you who watched or listened to episode 39, which was Rob and Jen Rosado of Scoogies, in our conversation with really deep and sincere positive things to say about Al coming from Rob and Jen, and Rob has been a chef for years, and I remember he said something about Mirabella's and that he wished he would have stayed when you came because he thinks so highly of you. And here he is. Here's Al Paris. Welcome back, Al.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was an interesting story. That was back in '89, and Neil Stein hired me in from San Francisco to do Pomodoro, and then I came into the company, and the rest was history. But they were good days. It was a very exciting series of events. And Rob's done very well for himself. I'm very proud of Rob.
Yeah, he has.
His food's wonderful. And it's
great.
Genuine.
It is.
Yeah.
It's great stuff.
Yeah.
There's been 2 restaurants in my life that I swear by that were terrific. One was Paris Bistro, your place, and the other is Scoogies.
Wonderful. Good company.
Rob and Jen's restaurant. Yeah. So I know that Paris Bistro is no longer there. Okay.
In spirit.
In spirit, it's there with me all the time, okay? But you're doing some very interesting things in the food, with food people, okay, restaurateurs.
Yes.
And also with other businesses, correct?
Well, yeah. From my background, the validity I've gained through many years of owning restaurants put me in that arena. Mm-hmm. But once I get I don't do any cold calling within Still Hospitality. I get called because of my background and my experience. Right. But then once we do a deep dive and start digging for gold, really I'm just a truth finder, right? Mm-hmm. And it isn't my truth. Consultants kind of superimpose their truth on people's organizations. Coaches are investigators.
Correct.
And my whole life has been observation and trying to find patterns and momentum based on honesty and truth and embodying what you say your principles are, not just saying, oh, I'm a community person and then not being available. It sounds great. I want to be. It feels good, and don't do anything.
Oh, there's a lot of people like that.
Well, yes.
Unfortunately.
There's a dream sequence that people have that kind of say, this is what I am, and then you brass tacks start asking questions, and they're like, oh, no, that's not it. And really it's a lot of question asking, because I learned early on that the value of your life is highly predicted by the quality of the questions that you ask of it.
That's correct.
So if you say, I want to make money, you're going to get a bunch of different answers based on a bunch of different things that have nothing to do with your nature. If you say, I want to change the world and solve suffering and make this available to everyone, whether it be the Gutenberg press or the Apple computer. Here you go. Now you're flying.
Right.
You have a purpose that can see you through the hard times, and you can engage your origin story. So you would do it for nothing. And
That's correct.
But that's the first sessions with Instill Hospitality is like, well, I hired you to scale the company. Well, yeah, but let's see where you want to go. It's like,
right.
And then you start talking about what do they really want, and there's this dichotomy between what they see of who they are and then who they actually are.
Right.
Yeah.
They want to scale the company, but what do they mean by scale?
Yes. So my point is, going back to the food business, business is business. Food business, I can do branding and write creative and assist in operations, but really it's what do you want of it? And the restaurant business, like any business, has every single touchstone of any business.
Mm-hmm.
And the manufacturing end is the food.
Correct.
But, Instill Hospitality is more than food, obviously. Now, of course, you got to deliver on value, and you need consistency so the messaging doesn't confuse people.
Correct.
But business is business, my friend, as you know, better than anyone.
I do. I've been around for a long time. Businesses, yeah. It's true. Business is a very interesting vocation and avocation, and in both, some people just enjoy being in business. It's an avocation, and some people have to be in business, so it's a vocation. I just love it. It's I've said this a million times on the podcast. It's for entrepreneurs, it's a disease, a dis-ease. You are in a constant state of dis-ease, and which is a good thing from my perspective, because you're always trying to find things out. Nothing is static. Okay, you're not at ease with things because you want to build, you want to grow, you want to add to things, and
there is no knowledge acquired without this hunger of being inquisitive every second. People will come and they'll say, my chef won't teach. And the first thing out of my mouth will be, well, that's because they're not a student. And you can't teach if you don't highly hold in regard the process of learning. If you do that, you love to teach. Don't you?
You do. You do. It's interesting. I was speaking with my students yesterday. And, every professor has books and they have all kinds of slides and stuff. But I like to also have a lot of discussion in my class.
Yes.
And I tell them, because I know that you're here to learn from me, but I want to learn from you. I want you, any teacher or professor who's not a student, to your point, is really not a teacher, or no, they're an automatron, just reading from a book and doing other things. So I like to listen to my students and hear where they're coming from, and from there, as you know, comes the next line. It's my old story about sitting with Linus Pauling and speaking to a nuclear physicist.
Vitamin C.
Vitamin C discovered vitamin C as an antioxidant, help mitigate colds. But he also, I had dinner with him because of my dear friend Mort knew him. Mort was also on this podcast. And I don't want to be repetitive, but I'll make it short. He said, when you want to pick up Linus Pauling and his wife from the airport at Dulles, and I said, that's like asking me if I wanted to pick up Einstein. So I said, of course. And then we went out to dinner, and we talked for about 4 hours about nuclear physics. And on the ride home, Mort said to me, I didn't know that you knew that much about nuclear physics. And I said, I don't. All I know is that I had an initial question for Linus Pauling, and in his answer was the next question. And that went on for 4 hours.
Yes.
I just listened to his questions. That's it.
Yes. I had lunch with Lo Sang. He was the Dalai Lama's personal assistant, and I had him for a private sitting at Mantra.
Oh,
And he's very highly regarded in the world, and he's a mandala creator, a sand mandala creator. And he'll walk into the river with crowds of people, and they'll throw it in the river afterwards. It'll take weeks to make. Amazing artist. And I was telling him about the books that I read when I was 12 and 13 of Alan Watts, and how I was a martial artist and blah. And I said this about Buddhism and that about Buddhism. And I guess by the fifth statement, with 5 of his answers being, yes, you're correct, yes, you're right, yes, you're correct, I shut the heck up.
it's great.
Because
it's great.
In that arena,
Right.
you are correct. You are, because it's your truth.
Yeah, it's your truth.
It's your. I just wanted to connect with this guy.
Yeah.
And it's your truth, right? So I wasn't wrong, but it wasn't the road he was on.
Correct.
So it was amazing for me to have that experience, because it really put me in a position where I began to listen. And of course, we have these ideas of who we are, right? And then I that got out of the way. And now I was just sitting with Lo Sang.
Yes.
And I got to meet the person. I wasn't, I had no airs.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It reminds me of...
And that's what you did with Pauling.
it's what I do with
And
Paul.
he opened the door for you to do just that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I did see the Dalai Lama. I was in the presence of the Dalai Lama at Lehigh University. And he went to lunch, and there was a break. Everybody went to lunch, and the lunch went long, and he said, thank you. It's great to be back. I'll make this short because lunch was long. Something like that. I don't want to keep you all. And someone mentioned something to him. He said, I'm just a man. And that's stuck with me for all these years. It was interesting seeing the Dalai Lama, and he's just a man.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, nice guy. Spoke very highly of you.
Yeah? And I have him.
I'll tell him. Yeah, that was a pretty cool experience.
Once again, I think about, doing the initial download with clients. And
that is a great way of putting it, by the way.
yes.
Yeah.
And they tell me why they started what they started and what brought them to do what they do. And they go, but the world's not the same. Employees aren't the same. I'm not the same. And they get frustrated from a standpoint of their original expectations aren't being met. But they're taking all this new data every day, and they're not giving it the value that it deserves. And what they were born to do, why they exist, never changes. But the mission shifts based on new information, based on the winds and the currents in the water, and however you want to put it, the course that gets you to the port that you're setting out to get to needs to be navigated.
Well,
But you can't just say every time something is contrary to your original assumption that it's a disappointment. It's not. It's all useful. It's all wonderful and useful.
It's learning.
Yes.
It's learning. It's very interesting because I hear all these people say about, what is it? What's the Gen Z? Gen Z doesn't work like everybody else and blah, blah, blah. I teach Gen Z. I would hire almost all my students because they're inquisitive. They can be funny. They are dependable, most of them, okay? And I think that, to your point, the people who haven't learned have a certain static thing in their head that everybody has to fit into. And things change. Everyone any business has a vision. And the mission is how you get there. And from a military standpoint, you want to win the war, okay? But the enemy keeps changing, right? They keep changing, so you have to change in order to win the war. And a lot of people just think, no, this is it. This is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
This is to your point.
If you want to ruin your creativity, have early success.
Right. That's true. That's true.
Have early success without challenge.
Yeah.
Because then you think you're some kind of a
Guru.
Yeah. And no, this is not magic.
Yes.
It's a human reality. You're dealing with people with impulses that have trauma and disappointments and assumptions and goals of their own. And alignment is not something that just happens because you yell at people or that you're a workaholic. Nobody really cares.
Right. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
And the funny thing is, it ends.
And it ends. Absolutely, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating.
It is. Life is a trip.
And then it's like I brought something to just mention. About 30 some years into a 54-year profession, I was spending weeks with my new hires. And also trying to get my sous and my first cooks to understand who I was, because they don't follow recipes, they follow philosophy.
Right. And by the way, sous meaning sous chefs.
Yes.
Sous chefs. Yes.
Yes, not Sue and Sally.
Right.
Sous chef. And of course, I had some female sous chefs too. So I wrote what I thought about the business. And
Recently you wrote this?
no, I wrote this about 30 years ago.
Oh, okay.
I had been close to 30, maybe 20 some years ago, yes, 25 years ago. But I was trying to interpret to my sous chefs and my first cooks and the new hires over the course of a few weeks spending time with them what I thought about things before I told them to do a knife cut or I told them to make an omelet or, those sorts of things that would go to a customer, right? Like a brunoise, a fine dice. And I knew that if I gave them something more important than a menial task, they would understand the weight and the gravity that went behind it, and they would find the focus and the clarity in order to execute at a very high level. But it took time. And some people didn't want to be bothered because they walked in with the fact, hey, I'm a saucier, Well, no, Jack, you're not. You're not here. So, I just put forward a chef's manifesto, right? Mm-hmm. This is going in a book now, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay.
Seek to understand, then to be understood.
Correct.
Cook with passion and courage. Don't be afraid. Don't be risk averse. Well, you'll freeze in your boots the minute there's any tension. You'll push right into resistance. Cook through memory, weather, and seasonal phenols. Fish run, trees bloom, people crave. You need to bring the history of who you are and connect at that level on what you're doing. That will change what you do.
Yeah.
Bring your life through the plate, who you are and what you truly respect. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Perfect the blessings of the ingredient. Ask, listen, and learn. If I see a tomato, I will ask it. I know this is weird and freaky, but I'll say, do you have thick skin, thin skin, sweet meat? Do you need to be roasted? Do you need to be raw? How do you like to be used? And actually, what I'm looking at will change.
Right.
I'll feel the suppleness of the tomato. I may take a slice of it, and then I'll know how to use this product. But some people just go like this. Well, that goes into this. It always does. And you go, why does this taste like junk? And it's like,
right.
But they came and I used the same. And no, you had to put them up for a couple days. It's right.
Sure.
So
absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. Mastery is a series of small adjustments in aware pursuit of a craft. The key here is awareness. It's small adjustments. Why? Because you're listening. You're not telling people what to do. You're observing and assisting. Servant leadership is being aware and conscious of your surrounding and assisting people.
Absolutely.
And this is a small these small adjustments might be a pat on the back. It might be helping somebody wipe down their mise en place table. It might be, what do you need? I'll run for you. It might be, 17's rising, you might want to get that duck out. It needs to be that. It's small little adjustments. And you need every single sense to be alive. This is not different in the automotive industry, in the optical industry, in war,
in education.
It's if you're not locked in, you can't contribute. And if you're so worried about telling people over the horizon what's happening, you're going to hit an iceberg right here.
Absolutely correct.
You can't always be over the horizon because you're in the rocky water right here and there's an iceberg right in front of you. So that's, fresh ingredients, fresh flavors, clean environment, clean flavors, clear mind, clear flavors. Technique is a base to move towards finesse. Once you understand natural law and patterns, and we all remember that term, to command her, nature to be commanded must first be obeyed. And we're always looking for the truth in patterns. We're looking for the way people react. We're looking for the way ingredients react. We're looking for the way metallurgy or excavation, we're always looking for patterns. That's called experience. But you need to, if you want to be an experienced person, you can't be roughshod.
No, you can't. And it's interesting. While you're talking, I'm thinking about that. It just came into my mind. The way here for those of you who are not in the Philadelphia area or the East Coast, that we've here in the Philly area experienced 2 sizable snowstorms, in the last 3 weeks. Of course, it would be nothing to people in Erie, Pennsylvania, or Buffalo, or whatever, or the Yukon. But one of the things that I noticed is how the people react and how the news reacts. The news has the highest viewership during the weather forecast. Okay, so they will go to the extreme. They'll freak people out. They'll talk about it like it's the end of the world, and it may be a bad snowstorm, but sometimes what I like to do is just say, let me sit here and watch the snowfall. Okay? Let me take the freak out of it and let me look at the beauty of it. Okay? And that's the difference. The driveway will get plowed or shoveled. The streets will get cleared, and we may be stuck in the house for 2 days. Stuck in the house. There's a lot of things to do in the house. Read that book. Try to get away from all the freak out in the news about the weather, and just enjoy it, because you're not going to stand out there and hold your hand up and stop it from snowing. It's the beauty of it.
The beauty of discomfort.
Yes, exactly.
The wisdom of insecurity.
Yes.
The ability to have awe and to not need to know the answer to everything.
Nope.
Because the mystery holds the beauty, and you'll miss it.
You will miss it. You will miss it. And sometimes, I love teaching. I love working at the university. But sometimes I will say to my wife, as I'm sitting in the den, and I'm going to go, what's great? You know what I enjoy? And she'll say, what? I say, now. Now. I'm not watching TV. I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
I'm looking outside. And there's beauty in that. There really is.
Absolutely.
And it's a clarity of your mind. And then you get back into the other stuff, and that's okay. It's recharging.
Sure. Well, that leads me to my last line, which is every time you teach, you learn again.
There's no doubt
And
about
if you
it.
don't share what you know, you only know it in a very narrow way as a memory. But the
Correct.
minute that you bring value to what you've learned and you've shared it with someone, you need to imbue it in them in a way that they can understand, and it changes your delivery. And it also makes things in real-time consciousness. Because now I'm not talking about an experience, I'm reliving an experience, and I'm sharing it with you, young lady, or older gentleman, or businessman,
Right.
and I have to deliver it in a different way. You know, I've had conversations where we didn't speak the same language over a stove in Florence. It was
In Italy,
in
not
Italy.
Florence, New Jersey.
No. And we had a full conversation based on speaking of experience on the stove with the polenta and the tripe and the sauce and the seasoning, and it was incredible. I mean, the wine helped,
Wine does help.
but experience is an amazing teacher.
There's no doubt.
And for us to give it the what it deserves, to pay back, that's very that's a thin explanation. Payback is literal, it's not metaphor. Payback, knowledge is dear, and you have been lucky enough to have received it. And when you pay it back, you give it, it gives the homage to the information that it deserves. And now it brings the value and the capacity up for the person that's receiving it. It's a phenomenal thing. You're not being greedy with it.
No, and what you're doing is you are letting them look into this portal of time that you have experienced.
That's correct.
And they can now get your experience to say to themselves, now I understand that. It makes it easier for me in the future. Or I see the problems they went through, and that really helps me viewing my future. It's a view into life.
You know, if you read Plato's Republic or Aristotle or Da Vinci's Notes, you're listening to somebody have an experience and you're hearing it in their voice. It's the way they experienced it. We benefit amazingly from that. It's an amazing thing that we can share that kind of information with each other. And that's how exciting reading is.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Reading is exciting. And I have so much reading that I have to do because my students write lots of papers, whether they're grad students or doctoral students or undergrad students. They're always writing papers. That's my preference, as opposed to taking tests, which you'll take a test, you have to remember something from 4 months ago, and then you'll forget it 3 hours later. But I want to know about them. You tell me about this thing in your life or that thing in your life. And it's the same way with books. I mean, books are beautiful things. I love to read them and watch certain things like podcasts and stuff like that because it's information, it's growth. Yes. And I've watched less and less television.
Absolutely.
I'm watching less and less news because it's really, as my wife put it, it's like watching the Jerry Springer show over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing. I'm finishing a book now, and I'm getting ready to read another book. I have a stack this eye to read. Well, it's more like this eye. But, I love it.
Yeah.
I do. But I got to get it. I got to find the time to do it within all the other reading I'm doing.
Right. Certain books, when I was younger, changed who I was from when I started the cover to when I ended the cover, I was a different person. Like The Physiology of Taste by Brian Savarin changed me as a chef. When I had that with me after I read that book, it's like I had a better vision. I wasn't a chef at the time. I was in the business in the wine country, and I was a sous chef and a chef of a small restaurant, La Belle Helene, in St. Helena, California. And the woman who owned the hatchery that the building was in, made from stones from the caves of Christian Brothers right up the road, gave me this book. And she knew MFK Fisher, who lived in Sonoma, and she would visit her. I went to a few of her talks, amazing woman. And Liz Baer gave me this book. And she was a personal friend of MFK Fisher, who originally translated for Macy's Company in 1949, The Physiology of Taste.
Wow.
And I read
Wow.
it. Yes.
Okay.
And I read it.
Yeah.
And it was the beginning of me understanding through a mastermind experience, somebody that knew food and life and natural law the way the old professor did.
Yeah.
He was an attorney. And I actually conducted myself differently in the kitchen as a chef. Somebody that knew what he just taught me.
Yeah.
And it changed my food. A book.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. I mean, the flavor, everything was different. The way I arrived, the environment, everything was different. And I've since, had similar experiences. But once you get that incredible thrill and you see how it manifests, if you take it to heart, usually it's something that already resonates with why you're here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you may not know it the way somebody knew it in 1829.
Exactly.
And
when the food was purer. When the
it was
food.
Yeah. Way before restaurants.
Yeah.
It was only in fine houses, and it was like Gutenberg. We mentioned that earlier. Not everybody could have books,
Right.
and not everybody could have fine cuisine, and these were in the wealthy households. But yet, Tate Marie, the grandmas, they had it.
Yeah.
I mean, the matriarchs of the family, even in the poor, whether it be Sicily or Naples, in my family, the poor, they had incredible culinary traditions, and that's where it resided in the family.
Yes.
It wasn't, the Food Network.
Yeah, it was the food. And it's funny as you're talking, and I think most people would feel this way and experience this. When I think about the food I ate as a kid, I think about my grandmother and my mother and how they made food, and the beauty of the way they prepared the food. Yes. And the meaning of the food to them. It was traditional food, and it's all about the culture, just as you're talking about Italian food, right? And the Italian, what is it, Nana? What do they call grandmother? Grandmother in Italian is like Nana, something like that. But and in Jewish families, it used to be Bubby. Now it's Mamam. Sometimes Bubby, but
Noni.
Noni. That's it. Noni in Italian. And I often think about all the dishes, the traditional Jewish dishes that my mother and grandmother made. You really don't find them anymore unless you go to a certain restaurant, and it's hard to find. But as opposed to Italian restaurants, which are prevalent, thank goodness, and like
French,
you, and French,
Chinese.
yeah.
It all resides in all of them.
It does, and
Usually close to an amazing market. Yeah.
there's a beauty in all that, and thank goodness and I've said this before.
Your ancestors are in that plate.
They are absolutely
The ancestors
absolutely
come back in that plate.
They certainly do.
Yeah.
And I think one of the problems with America today, maybe not other countries, is that we've diluted that in our processed foods. We've diluted it, and
Europe won't allow it.
no, I know they won't, and I believe I said this with Jen and Rob when I first met my wife, who, by the way, is like the food police in my house. You know, Colleen, and because she has a degree in dietetics, and I listened to her, and as you know, we get older, I'm listening more and more, right? But we went into the supermarket and we looked around and we both said to each other, we looked at each other and we said, "There's no food here. There's no food here," which is a freaky thing to say in a supermarket, except when we got over to the organic section, because all the rest of the stuff has chemicals in it. And
Stay to the outside of the market.
yes,
Dairy,
absolutely.
meat, produce, bakery.
Right.
Don't go in the middle.
Don't go in the middle.
Don't
No.
don't go to the other 80%.
Right.
Maybe grains.
Yeah.
Get in, get out real quick.
Right.
You know,
So
go
it
get
does-
your beans.
so it doesn't infect
Yeah.
you. Yeah, and it's all about the money, and it's sad as opposed to the health.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I love a good restaurant that uses good ingredients. And
They're your advocate.
yeah.
They do the
exactly.
procurement. They do the technique, the execution. They render the hospitality.
Yes,
Yeah,
you feel at home.
absolutely. Well, you're supposed to.
Yeah, yeah, you're supposed to. So now you do that. You imbue other folks with your knowledge in that.
All business has all those. You're not selling to livestock. You're selling to people.
Right.
You're not messaging to. You're messaging to people, and then you got to stand by that message.
Correct.
If you put the message forward for your staff, they need to see that you believe in it, right? And if you're in something so direct and responsible for somebody's well-being and their health, you have a responsibility to not make people sick.
Correct.
You know, it's
do.
it's why we pick certain students and certain businesses to work with.
Yeah.
Because we know that there's a need there that's
Yeah.
honorable and it has the grand strategy.
Yeah.
It's not just like I want to make money, but I want to actually make sure I want to cure suffering and excite and inspire people, and if anybody can get behind that.
Yeah.
And that could be, once again, food or clothing or
optics or whatever.
Yes.
I mean, our thing was, as I said before in other shows, that people before profit. That was our motto.
That's
okay. And however, the irony
you probably
of
got
it
a
is,
pushback on that.
well, there was a lot of other opticians that didn't like me, didn't like the company because it was flying in the face of everything they stood for. But what it created was people understood that we stood by that. So all of a sudden, we were making money. Okay, so we were making a profit because we took care of people, and that's the deal. I mean, if you put the patient first or the customer first, and your employees first, those people, you will get those customers, you will get those patients because they are comfortable and they know that you're not ripping them off.
It goes a long way.
It built a business in a short amount of time that was all over the country, and I truly believe that is what success looks like.
you had the Jack Welch and the, cut the bottom 10 and the top 10. And now you have people like Simon Sinek, who's really putting out some good information about the golden circle, the limbic system, and what really motivates people, finding your why, and speaking of what we're talking about, which is customer first and embodying your principles. It seems like sometimes we're kind of going upstream against what the general curriculum for business is. And it seems to me I'll be 70 next year, and it seems to me it seems like, Dan, that, how do I put this? It seems like we're swimming upstream, but it's needed more than ever, and it doesn't change anything. Yeah, but it seems like what we're saying is kind of cliche, and it seems almost naive. It does. But yet, if we walk out to that counter right there, and if somebody takes the business curriculum of Jack Welch, which is bloodthirsty, I mean, we found out. And I had read all his stuff, and I was in the 80s owning businesses, and it was like thrilling. But now we saw how destructive it became. And,
terrible.
And people's, were getting sick literally at work.
Yeah. What was the Enron? Enron was like that too.
Cortisone and just people getting sick.
Enron was rank and yank at Enron.
That's right. Yes, rank and yank. But yet, if you put two people, one with one philosophy, one with another, you'll watch this line just populate. Yeah. Because it'll start with a smile and a handshake, and it'll be genuine. And the minute there's an ask, it'll be well received. Over here, there'll be over the top up front, like amazing. And the minute there's an ask, I'll be right with you.
Right.
Or another ask, no, we're really not prepared to do that. And this person over here with the right philosophy will say, we may not be able to do that, but I'll get on the phone right now and I'll find it for you, because that's why I'm here, right? Over here, if I can't get your money now, you're not worth it to me.
It's interesting.
And then these businesses, they fail, but because the model's broken.
Yeah, the model is broken. And there's certain elements in society that want to leave it broken, and
correct.
It'll stay broken. And then there's other elements that want to fix it, and I think it's fixable, but it's probably not fixable in the grand view of things. It's fixable in certain areas, because the philosophy sort of has to. I don't know if it's called change, but have a different perspective, maybe. Okay, you can still make a lot of money. I'm not against Jeff Bezos making a lot of money or Elon Musk making a lot of money. Mm-hmm. What I am against is if they're making that money by exploiting people. Mm-hmm. So that's the only difference. The word. Because I always paid my people above industry average,
exploitative model.
Yeah, the exploitation is terrible. It's terrible.
Yes.
But
that's the model that we're all fighting.
Yeah, that is the model. But yet these guys, the Bezoses, the Musks, all these guys, the Zuckerbergs, they took a chance. Mm-hmm. They were the ones who took the risk. Mm-hmm. Okay? So don't begrudge them for making money. They have millions of people that work for them. Mm-hmm. Okay? They take care of whole towns. Okay? And they came from nothing, basically. And so celebrate them, but make sure that while you're celebrating them, you're watching them so that they're not exploiting people. Yes. And I mean it in a serious way.
I was trying not to go there.
Yeah.
Thank you for going there, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I really feel like we're fighting a model sometime.
Yeah.
They're modeling this form of leadership. Mm-hmm. And yet, it's not the long game. It's not the infinite game. It's you're creating adversaries within your own organization.
Yeah, that's like a cancer. That is a cancer.
And
Right.
and it's almost like if you don't recognize the human being 1st, you're going to exploit them because you don't. You're going to create this this tension that's just going to. It's almost like going in, burning down the village, taking the women, killing all the men, and not expecting them to come back, the children to come back after you in 15 years.
Kill you. Yeah.
You know, or you can go in, you can build hospitals, you can create a great environment. You know, what do they say? If a plant's sick, don't change the plant, change the environment.
Yeah.
And it's like you can create, you can go ahead and show that if you're going to assimilate, like Russia could have went into Ukraine and really through culture, which the Chinese are doing, by the way, through culture, enriched them,
Right.
and there could have been this amazing, quiet synergy between the two areas. Now it's just a bunch of big holes in the ground,
And a lot of dead people.
right? And but
Unnecessarily so.
it could have been done in a quiet way through commerce. Business serves a purpose, and it's humane. Okay,
There's no doubt about it.
and the way the nature of money, right? I remember when I first read the Creature from Jekyll Island about the Federal Reserve and the nature of money. Money's a good thing. It started with, you know, you make shoes, I raise cattle. You want to eat, I want to walk.
Right.
You know?
Right, yes,
And,
yes.
you know, my cattle's worth more than the 2 pairs of shoes, so I'll give you 2 pairs of shoes and some shells.
Right.
You know, and everybody was specialized, and it was awesome. It made up for the difference, and then I had something in a coffer if I wanted to buy a boat and go fishing. It was awesome. Now, it's not like that anymore.
No, it's not like that.
You got 2%, they got everything, and we're like, I can't go to school, I can't get my teeth fixed, I can't, you know.
Well, the interesting thing is that the Federal Reserve, if we want to get into that, most people think it's part of the U.S. government.
That's
but it's
right.
Not. It's a
It
private
certainly
bank.
is not.
It's a private bank, and
It happened in an afternoon on Jekyll Island.
right, exactly, and
Between magnates.
Yes, and it was done away with by Jackson, President Andrew Jackson. He was not a proponent of that, and Abraham Lincoln wanted the greenback. You know, as the federal government's currency. But at one time, most people don't know this, states had their own currency. So when a state had its own currency, you used it within the state, and then you'd have to sort of trade it off with other people. One thing about money is that it's much easier than carrying that cow somewhere, okay, because it represents the cow.
Yes.
But there is something about bringing the cow over, you know, because then you
At
talk
the
to
end of the
people.
day.
Yeah, because you have to talk to
Has
somebody.
to be backed.
Right. It has to be back. It's backed
How do
by
you like
nothing.
Bitcoin?
Right. Well, now we're getting into that. Okay, so
I don't like.
realize
I
that-
can't eat the menu.
Yeah,
I need to eat food.
Yeah. Well, the fact of the matter is, and most people don't realize this, is only 3% of the currency in the United States is actually
Backed.
well. It's not. It's real. I mean, you can hold it. Okay, it's not real, but it's printed stuff that you can handle. It's coins and paper. Okay. The rest of the other 97%
Is on wire
Yes, it's in computers.
in my phone.
Yeah, it's in your phone.
Yeah,
You
on
don't
my
even
little
need
piece of
cash.
plastic.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
hit Venmo or
I
you
know.
do this and it shows up in another account.
It's an agreed upon construct.
That's all. And
But
money.
you can't have 2 of them.
No. Well, they're trying. They're trying to have bitcoins, and they're trying to have currency that's backed by nothing, just as Bitcoin's backed by nothing. It's just backed by your faith in the United States government. And it was backed by gold up until
Which is now
1973.
$5,800 an ounce.
Yes, I think I looked this morning. It's 52.90.
It went down to 52.90.
But the interesting thing is that I always say to people when we're discussing this is, what the heck backs gold? Mm-hmm. Okay, gold is just, it's a mineral that you want because it's fancy and shiny and everything. But if you're on a desert island, to you, that's it. If somebody said that we can't rescue you, but we can send you down a bushel of gold or a bushel of apples, what would you rather have? You'd be an idiot to say the gold.
That's right.
Because you have to eat.
Yes.
Right? So you'd want the apples to exist. And the rest of the stuff it's a game.
All man needs is a library and a garden.
That's about it.
But you got to have both.
Yeah.
You got to feed yourself. You got to feed your mind.
Exactly. Feed your mind. Well, that's what we say at the end of this, of every podcast. Use your mind. If you don't, others will. Mm-hmm.
But rather than trying to maximize profit and currency and money,
right?
I think the model that we're speaking of is, what value can I bring to the world?
Correct.
And that just limits so much running around and chasing things that aren't you. When you can find that. It's always in your class, in business school, in Sun Tzu's original strategy, it's know yourself. Mm-hmm. If you don't know yourself, you really can't begin to contribute to society in a way where you will sustain a wealth flow, okay? Because people will reflect value back at you. That's really what it is.
It's true. It's the truth. Yes.
That, if you're chasing money, I mean, I remember when we were talking earlier, and when I opened Pomodoro with Neil Stein, and we walked into the bookstore, and he looked at the magazines, and he said, you ever want to know where the public's interest is? Look at how many magazines are on these certain subjects. Right. We were watching the vegetarian magazines expand. We were watching, the travel magazines expand, so people wanted different culinary experiences. Sure. I mean, it's all like, where's the demand? And it was that simple.
Yeah, where's the demand?
Where's the demand? Why is that section exploding and this section narrowing? And it's just because of interest and demand. I mean, people look at the stock market exactly like he was looking as a restaurateur at the magazine rack. Because
that's his stock market.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And because there's an educational aspect to gourmands.
Oh yeah.
That's part of the experience.
Yes.
Right? You're kind of a classroom too. That's why we spend so much time training our staffs. And a lot of businesses are like this. Mm-hmm. People that are associated with certain businesses get educated through that association, whether it be a financial advisor with your money or a couture with where you buy your clothing, or there's that over-the-top hospitality aspect of, I will educate you on this.
It's interesting because I go over this, and this in my courses. Understand your own behavior first so that you can understand other people's behavior. Understand what motivates you first so you can understand other people's motivation. And there is a method to that, because once you understand yourself and you can look at other people, and you spend maybe 20% of your time talking and the rest listening or viewing, you just watch the way people act, and then you understand how they behave. And if you want them to do certain things, you morph yourself into the way, to some degree, they act or they're motivated, so they say, I like this person.
See what we're doing?
Yeah. That's mimicking and matching. Yeah. And that's basically what it is.
We're making each other comfortable.
Exactly. And that's what you do.
And that's not a threat. And the art of negotiation.
Correct. Which I teach.
Mm-hmm. So I'll be lecturing on that with you in a week.
That's correct, sir. Mm-hmm. You will be. And all of this all of this, even before there was money, even before there was, well, I can't say cities because I don't know, there was civilization. But prior to even civilization as we know it, this all happened. You know, all this stuff. There was trading this for that and so forth in ancient times and before we even knew about writing. And that's how we evolved.
You know, we're not that far from that.
No, I know.
The more you learn and read about it,
yeah, we're a blink.
And we haven't developed beyond that a whole hell of a lot.
I agree.
It's just, that's what we forget. We think we're this new species of human being, and if you look at the school of philosophy around the Aegean Sea, and you look at, Confucius and Sun Tzu at the same time, and how they borrowed from, actually we borrowed from the West. I don't get Western and Eastern philosophy because they all were
right.
They all borrowed and traveled and then it went through certain changes based on the challenges of the local area, and then wars, right?
Yeah, which is can't figure that out, but people do it. It's power. They want power, and that's it. It's very interesting because when you go to the Aegean and when you go to Turkey and you see these things that are thousands of years old, maybe even up to 10,000 years old, and they were from civilizations past, or the Greeks, the Romans, and you think about that, and then we think about America and the experiment here, and we're really adolescents. People will say we're an adolescent society in America, but yet when you look at the Romans and you look at the Greeks and you look at Turkey, and it may be 10,000 years, but that's still adolescence. I mean, when do you get to be an adult is the type of thing. I think we haven't gotten to that point. And we may never get to that point as far as adulthood goes until we stop killing each other for stupid reasons.
We have not evolved that far.
No, we haven't evolved.
It was gold.
Yeah.
Now it's fossil fuel.
Yeah, now it's fossil fuel.
And there's always been enough land.
Yes.
Always been enough.
Enough land and enough energy. There's always been enough energy.
That's right.
But for some reason, we have to power ourselves above other people. And
once we respect that we haven't evolved that far, and we start looking at ancient civilization and how incredibly elevated they became, and how they revered knowledge and the beautiful things that they did with agrarian cultures and architecture and just these incredible schools and this amazing knowledge they had. All it gives us, the big gift it gives us is this modern humility. We're so freaking arrogant that we live in 2026. Like we have this entitlement of we made the internet and we're suffering. Yeah. And it's like this whole idea of manifesto is, what do you manifest? Yeah. Principles, beauty, goodness, justice, and unity. The principles that the thinkers, the philosophers said were before man came on the scene. It drives, musica universalis. The orbs make sounds of music and symphony based on this beautiful set in motion rules that never change, that can be humaned.
Yeah,
you could show beauty is this comfort. You can see when two people are beautiful together.
Yeah,
unity is a sharing of very distinct, different people that come together, but don't diminish each other. Correct. But yet they share.
Yeah, they do.
Justice just corrects. When things go off the rail, they come back on. They just there's a continuum between good and evil, and it's not going to we know it's circular. It goes to the point where everything's so good and perfect that there's no guardrails, and then it's corrupt.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and it is good and evil. I mean, there's good and evil
there
today.
absolutely is.
Good and evil today.
But you can judge that by how much damage and chaos you're causing.
Yeah.
In the light of trying to be right, you know.
Right, and it just underscores the fact that we are still not mature. Immature, from my opinion. We haven't gotten to the point where we can say, let's just sit, let's help each other out. Isn't this beautiful? Let's eat, let's relax, let's enjoy each other.
We talked about grandmothers.
Yeah, grandmothers.
Are we getting first principles from them anymore? I don't think we are. I think this ageism of throwing away the old has disconnected the generational access to first principles.
To wisdom, yeah.
The first principles, the way we conduct our lives.
Well, I think that has a lot to do now. You know, Eastern societies are different. I think they revere the aged a little more than Western societies, or at least America. European societies maybe also. People stay home with their families, but we're a swipe up society. That's it. And people get their news, which really isn't news, from a swipe. And
no context.
Yeah, there's no context. And Bubby, or in Italian, it's again Noni, or grandma, or what, mom. We don't.
My mother was mom.
That's, I'm pop. You know what I mean? And pop, because I have a great grandson, and we don't sit and listen to the aged anymore.
But they have the principles.
Yeah, they do, because they've been through so much,
and they've seen the apparatus of the principles at work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Most of them. Some of them are still ignorant.
But that's why we're so empty.
Yeah. Well, we're a self-sabotaging species. That's what we are.
Boy, what a positive podcast.
Yeah, this is great. However, hopefully, as you're watching this, you're learning something about how to change that, to sort of take us out of self-sabotaging behavior as a society. The individual who's watching this or listening to this may feel that they are already there, and there are a lot of people who are already there.
Yes.
Okay, and we're blessed to be in their company. Okay, but there are a lot of people who are just ignorant, and there's a difference between, and I've said this before many times, intelligence and ignorance. You can be extremely intelligent. You could know everything about everything, except you're an ignoramus. And because of the way you act to people and with people, the way you treat people, the way you treat your position and those under you, whatever that means. So it's bizarre.
It is.
It's bizarre. But it can be changed. And hopefully, those of you who are watching and or listening to us recognize that you can change things. And that is sort of the purpose of hopefully, of our podcast today. And as we get to the end of episode 40, right, with Al Paris, Parisi, right, from changed at Ellis Island, am I right about
That's
that?
Correct.
And you have garnered some information, as we have from each other. Hopefully, you'll think about these things, and we will progress as a species. Al?
Go talk to your grandmother.
Go talk to your grandmother. Al, always a pleasure.
Love you.
This has been great. I love you, too. Don't forget, subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Spotify. And remember, use your mind. If you don't, others will. Thanks for being with us for episode 40 of Digging for Gold. We'll see you next time.